Oh, okay, so hopefully I'll be able to edit this without this bandana's like really big. It's so comfy though. um, hopefully, I'll take videos while I'm tripping. Otherwise, maybe I'll make a compilation of shit I put on Instagram before doing that. But, at least I'll make a trip report if anything happens. But, basically, the last time that I had a trip that was memorable, it's always, I only trip alone. Usually. I only trip alone usually. But I prefer it. And it's honestly given me some of the best memories of my life. The times that I'm tripping alone, specifically. Like, I could be doing, like, the most extravagant bullshit ever. Like, I could be out there doing stuff, and it's like, it might not even be that memorable compared to these, but, like, so I was parked up at Cub Foods in Bloomington. So I was just tripping a lot while I was waiting for my car to get fixed. Because it was fun. And it really helped me work through some stuff. And it was fun being somewhere that I grew up in that area a lot at different times in my childhood. I have so many memories there. And depending on where I am, and it kind of brings out like different altars. Like I drove to St. Paul a little bit ago. And like I have like one glimpse of like tearing it up on like a really like on those streets that are like orange and yellow painted. And I don't think that I knew how to drive, but like because I went there and like the surroundings. So I mean, my car, I don't think that anything happened. Actually, I remember this one specific time where like a cop passed me and I was like just driving on the wrong side of the road. But I remember this vividly. Like it was like I snapped back and I took a bunch of random streets and like drove around to like get away from him, the cop. Cause I was like, oh no, I just realized what just occurred. Yeah, I like took control of that. Anyway. But the last trip that I remember having at Cub Foods, like, I did not have an ace bandage or anything like a binder at that point in time. But I was, like, slowly coming to terms with the fact that I've been, like, gender dysphoric. Whether I decide to be transgender or not. Yeah, like, I had to tell myself, like, to open my heart and have a big heart when it comes to, like, what I can't help about myself. He did not want to be parked next to me, maybe. Damn. It was just like some things that people like told me, and I formed an altar, or I don't really know. There was just this part of myself I had to work with this mindset. Just a bunch of stuff that people were like telling me, like, oh, like it was like forced, but at the same time, like these people would tell me like you don't want to be transgender because of these reasons. You can't be transgender. It's not worth it. You're gonna look horrible on testosterone. You're never gonna have a real dick. All that real stuff. Like, it's just, and a lot of it wasn't even true. It's just people that wanted to be really cruel. But at the end of the day, it was like forced with physical violence too. So it was a lot to work through. So that's what I did with that trip. But it ended up being really fun. Actually, this is a great story I've been wanting to tell. So this actually turns into like the craziest trip story ever. So I was in my car. It was still like snowy outside, but like this is 2011 Impala, so you guys maybe know or don't know, it gets really like the heat is really good. The conditioner's okay. It took a while for it to kind of like fix itself once it got hot outside for me in this car, but this bitch is old, so I still love her. She still works good. It works good now. But yeah, it would be like literally like a few degrees like below zero. And I would like get back in my car and be like, it's so cold. I would turn the heat all the way fucking up. Like 15 minutes later, I'd be like sweating balls. I'd be like, dude, it's too fucking hot in here. But yeah, anyway, so it was like the middle of the trip. And it was the middle of the night because I just did not want anybody to like interact with me or talk to me because so many people know me around there. People would talk to me and shit. Even like actually a lot of people that I didn't know too, which is worse. So I waited till the nighttime, and like in the middle of the trip, I was just like, I was fed up. I was watching like old Filthy Frank videos. So what I remember, I like made ramen, so I learned on a road trip. And like I just said, the heat gets so hot in here. I use this part with the air vents. I only turn it here. And with the heat all the way up, like it would basically boil my ramen. I did not need to let it get that hot, it's just ramen. But like it would literally be steaming, so I'd be like, alright, bet. And yeah, you just like open the pack a little bit and pour some water in and just leave it sitting there on the heat conductor thing. I was doing that shit. No, actually, no, this is even better. Okay, I'll tell the story in a more calm way. Like, I was just eating candy and stuff and having a trip, and I was like really upset though that I did not have anything to bind my chest because I was feeling more like myself and letting my personality out more, and it was just like really uncomfortable to be myself, to be a guy in the situation where I was like, I had tits, and it was like, I don't know, but the trip was cool because I kind of saw myself like just as a little kid because I don't have testosterone. And so the trip ended up being more like me as a little kid. But anyway, I ended up having to take a piss. I had to pee really bad, and the doors was closed, so I could not use their bathrooms. So I like freaked out, and I took something to try to piss in, like a bottle or something, and I like pressed it up against me and like put a blanket around me so nobody saw me, and piss just like went everywhere. But I mean, you know, it just, I figured that out like the next day. Okay, like I got everything that I had piss on, like fabrics that got pissed on, in the back seat, and I dealt with it. But like I kind of just, you know, like my boxers were pissed on and stuff. So I was like, fuck. So I had to like, I was tripping balls, and I like had to like try to take my boxers off and clean myself up and put on new clothes. And fucking I was like, somebody's gonna see me. There were still people in the parking lot. They just, I don't think anybody that knew me was there, hopefully. And then I was like, I was so upset for some reason in my mind. I was just like, I'm hungry, I'm gonna make ramen, this will fix it. So I made ramen, and then I like ate it with my fingers, just watching Filthy Frank. I was so pissed. I like put on like this necktie, and then I went to watch more Filthy Frank, and the phone that I had was already really broken, and it like broke completely, and you couldn't touch the screen to like turn it on to like put in the password. So I was like, fuck, and this all happened within the span of like 15 minutes. And I was just like, well, fuck this. Like, you would think that would be like rock bottom. It really isn't. It was one of the best nights. Like, I'm having a great time. But that was like so many like, it's just like everything is so fucked. The car was like broken down in the parking lot that I was in. So I was just like, bruh. And I don't even remember what I did after that. I put in like this CD of this like I listened to a few CDs because the phone was young. It was some like old like Asian pop music. Doki doki doki. I was like, this is just the worst, best night ever. Like, it was so magical in a way. I was just like, this is so, like, I wouldn't rather be in any position, because it ended up being one of my best memories. But that was like the worst trip that I had, where everything just went wrong. Where all the other trips I had were pretty magical. When I was at that Cub Foods, it was like really magical. You know, and I would just like, I would like eat a bunch of candy and like play with toys and stuff. It was great. So yeah. And in a way, like, my dysphoria got so bad from trying to present as a female. My dysphoria got so bad that somehow, like, in my brain, like, how the fuck do I even say this? I don't know how to put it into words. It was like, my dysphoria was so bad, I was trying to counteract it by trying to be more feminine. Because I was just in a fucking mess from like torture I went through with people forcing me to present as a girl in the first place. So it made that kind of a fucking mess mentally. Because I blocked it out, and then there's different parts of myself that are trying to deal with like fighting myself. Because like a part of myself is not going to understand or be like completely amnesic to like why my alters are doing and saying the things that I'm doing. So it became like a fight with myself, basically. I don't even know if that makes sense, but it was really harsh just being alive and existing like that for a long time. Because it's like the majority of myself and my alters have no fucking clue, like, why I'm living as a female. So, I mean, like, all parts of myself have to deal with that differently, but it's like, it becomes a matter of, like, how do I deal with this and cope with this with myself? How do I cope with myself? I can't even control myself all the time. So, it became, like, a real struggle. So, but this is why I advocate for tripping, because when you have something as severe as I do like that, where it's, like, amnesic borders between yourself and, like, your mental like understandings of things and reasons for what you're doing, like there's blockades in that. Like I can't just sit down, like at that point, like I can't just sit down and be like, what is my problem? Because the reason I'm blocking out the reasons and causes for these things, like I'm blocking it out for a reason. So it was just a whole fucking mess. Oh shit, this guy, he looks so tired, man. This security guard, God bless. Oh my god. I just like, I don't know how to put a lot of my thoughts and feelings into words. This man just looks so tired from work. He works such a good, honest job, you know. It makes my heart heavy, but feel love for people. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish I could hug everybody. Just that type of shit. When I started to rain a little bit. So this is actually really beautiful. Obviously, y'all know my favorite weather. You know, I will say the thing about me being transgender is, the reason I know that it's like something that I just can't even deny about myself no matter what is when I was younger, like, basically, dysphoria hit, and I had to figure out what my problem was, and then be able to say, it's because I'm transgender, right? It was something that was, like, affecting me so bad, I had to figure out what it was, though. It wasn't, you know, a lot of people now, they're like, I just want to be a different gender. I just want to be this. For me, it wasn't. I didn't know. Basically, what I'm saying is I glorified being a female. And as much as I was drawn to stuff that was traditionally more considered for guys, like video games, because of my dad too, he just always told me it meant I was cool. I just thought that I was a special girl and I was a cool girl. And I glorified it so much. And so I did not want to be a guy. I did not want to be transgender. It hurt really bad. Like, as much as the dysphoria hurt, it hurt to come to terms with that. Like, genuinely. And, I would just glorify myself as being a female so much when I was, like a kid. And I would think, you know, like, I'm the coolest girl ever, like, and I am so tomboyish like this. It just makes me more like a girl. If I'm a guy, like, I just lose all of that. But, you know, I had such a big heart as a kid. I was just like, it is what it is. I gotta love myself and let myself fight to be what makes me feel free as myself. So, yeah. I went through all the same bullshit over again in an amnesic state with myself. Like, all of this questioning, basically. All these things, because you can try to think it's anything else than whatever it really is when you're going through, like, the whole process of trying to figure out what's wrong with you when you do have gender dysphoria. That's the thing. Some people just want to be something that they're not, though. And they will look for it, and they will find, like, a bunch of pros to it. And then they will just want to do it, I think. I don't fucking know. But for me, you know, and, like, Buck Angel, he's kind of something lately. Because I seen his video, and he was just keeps saying, like, the way that he says his story, he just keeps saying, like, in his words about himself, I'm a female that wants to be a guy. For me, and obviously I have gender dysphoria. I've been told I have gender dysphoria, whether I like it or not. For me, though, I never wanted to be a guy. I never wanted to, like, I loved being a girl, but I still had dysphoria about my body and, like, being a girl. Like, it made me feel emotionally tortured. It hurt so bad emotionally. So, no, I did not want to be. I think if somebody, like, there's a difference between being an oppressed group and being looked down on, and then having to have pride. That's why people have pride. If you have black pride or LGBTQ pride, it's because we were pushed down so much as groups of people for who we are. But there's a difference between that after you figure yourself out. And, by the way, just, there's a difference when somebody just straight up glorifies something and then just wants to become that. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. In my journey of figuring out who I was, and I went into, like, many stages of denial and just wanted to be a girl in my head for a lot of reasons, or did not want to have to go through all this transgender stuff. What the fuck? I don't even remember what I was gonna say. I don't even fucking remember. You know, but also, I guess I will say, once I did come to terms with being transgender, oh yeah, what I was gonna say was basically along the lines of, once I figured it out and was okay with it with myself, then I began to glorify the idea of being a guy, like I did with being a girl. You know, like, I tried to just see it as something that can be really good too, and that it works for me. but not in an unhealthy way, actually. So I don't know if glorification is even the right word. But, yeah, it really did suck to come to terms with. And to this day, I struggle with this because it comes with other insecurities. Just, okay, this is what I am. I can't help it. I can decide to not transition, but that's a different story, and that's not what I'm doing. But, I went through so many phases after this of, like, feeling insecure about the things that aren't, you know, manly enough or good enough to be a guy, and I'm so short and everything. You know, people would tell me stuff that made me insecure about other things like that I didn't even care about before. But, like my voice, but like, you know, and then it comes to a point where, because I'm actually transgender, like, I it I had to go through this whole other phase of like not accepting myself for other things, because I felt like, especially because I have to prove myself more than anybody who's just born a guy, like it's just such a painful existence. Like I felt like I had to do the most, so I pressured myself so much to be as masculine as possible, and to be tough, you know, to be tough and everything. And I got attacked so much. Like, people really physically hurt me, like in school and everything. And there was some assaults on me over the years where, you know, it makes it harder too. Like, it came to a point where I didn't not even know, because I was like, I honestly might rather be a girl, because it's on such a comfort place. Like, when I wasn't not transgender, like when I was still presenting as my birth sex, I did not get attacked like that. So it just became a mess. You know, like these guys that were around me in high school, middle school, all that, they would like physically harm me because I was transgender and say stuff to me about it. And you know, and then I ended up getting made fun of because I was snapping, and I stopped caring about the pressures I put on myself to prove myself as a guy. You know, and I would get attacked for stuff like that. It turned into a thing where I would get attacked for having makeup put on. Because you can still be, like, that has nothing to do with gender dysphoria. You know what I mean? That's not what dysphoria is about, necessarily. But something, you know, presenting with traditional stereotypes of different genders can cause dysphoria socially. But for me, whatever, you know, but... yeah, I just kept getting attacked worse, and then, I was basically, like, threatened, like, with more physical violence than already done, and continuous physical violence, telling me, like, that I have to be a girl or whatever. So... well, that's what happens, though, when you're transgender in America, whether people want to admit that that's how the state of things are or not. You know, there's so many allies. There's so many good people that would watch out for me. And at the end of the day, like, nobody could always be there. You know, I was a wild kid, too. I would be out and about and shit. But I would get attacked. I would not even really tell anybody about it. Like, I'm gonna mention things here and there, but, like, honestly, it's weird, because it's, like, the more serious stuff people did, is when I would keep my mouth shut because I just wanted to block it out. But isn't this some heavy shit? Basically, I'm excited for when I trip, cause where I remember leaving off when it comes to tripping with myself, and it just changes the way I interact with like my the parts of my mind I'm dissociated from, of my personality. But to me, it's like, you know, it's funny that they call it like identities or like disassociative identities. But to me, it's more like, I just wish like it could be something more along the lines of like my experience of it personally is like, it's like it's gonna be different identities and different like opinions maybe, but it's kind of like, I'm trying to explain this, like it's like it's like chunks of my brain, like it's like chunks of like the way that I think and like who I am as a person in my mind, going about and experiencing life, like how my mind perceives and then creates and all, you know, it's like I'm amnesic to it. So to me, it's more than an identity. It's like a living part of my mind and like what I make of the experiences I intake to like have my own original thoughts and feelings about. So to me, that's just, it's more than just an identity that's like thoughtless and just doing things based off of whatever, like so like you're conscious. Like I don't know, like how would you even like be able to compare like I feel more conscious than this other part of myself that is just my conscious too though? Like it's so fucking confusing actually, because it's like, how would I actually really know? Because I guess it could be less conscious depending, but like to me, like my interactions with my alters is like they have more of a mind than I do. Like they just like will pull shit or do things where I like don't get it till way later. I'm like, that is like a genius mind at work. So to me, I like don't think that it's subconscious. I think it's like parts of your conscious being ripped away, like your outward conscious. So what the fuck? I just feel like there's all this heavy bullshit to think or contemplate over, and I just want to get to having fun, so I just can't wait to see how much fun I have, like, because it's just this concept of, like, my personality being able to come out the more I accept, like, who I am, being a guy, I guess. But it also is really painful. This might end up going bad, like the binder thing, because a huge chunk of the trip I'm talking about, like, was like me wishing that like I did have like testosterone, and like wishing that my voice was, you know, more developed and everything. So that might become an issue, but maybe not. As long as like, to me it's like it's okay, because like I can, in my own presence, other people are gonna see me and be like, bruh, and hear my voice. Hopefully I can just like look down and I'm like, I'm straight, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, we'll fucking see.